Let's have a look at Lee Anderson.
Lee Anderson.
Do you know who Lee Anderson is?
No.
Lee Anderson.
I don't think so.
He's a Tory MP.
Right.
He's a British Conservative politician who has been the Member of Parliament for Ashfield, Nottinghamshire since 2019. He was Labour.
Right.
And then he flippity-floppity to the Tories. He is... What's his role? He is the deputy... He's in the cabinet. There's his face.
Okay.
Looks a little bit gammony.
It does look very gammony.
Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, Deputy Chairman.
It sounds like a big role.
Yeah. He also has a show on GB News.
Of course he does.
Yay!
GB News is our attempt at Fox News.
Yeah, for those that don't know, GB News is basically it's what Piers Morgan is on these days, as well as Lawrence Fox, who's a fucking piece of shit. This guy now has his own show. Does Farage have a show? I can't remember.
Probably. It's where all those people go.
Yeah, basically, it's where they go, and it is like a British equivalent to try and be like Fox News. Yeah. It's outrageous. It's sensationalism. It's just
nonsense.
Yeah, basically.
In just a few months' time, young men and young women from all over the country were going off to university, a place of learning. They're going to have a good time, they're going to work hard and hopefully get better careers. But in the meantime, in our universities, there are a certain group of people who are trying to influence and indoctrinate our young people. And this happened with my son about 10 years ago. He went to uni, he went to Sheffield. And I didn't see him for months. He came back, many, many months later, and he came back different. He got long hair. He got a beard, his clothes were different, a different attitude, different outlook on life. And I thought, my goodness, Harry, what's happened to you? He says, Dad, he sat down with me on the settee, he put his arm on my hand. He says, Dad, I've been away for a few months now, and I've come back, and I'm not the Harry that went away all those months ago.
I'm Harriet. Swallow that pill, Daddy.
Yeah.
I'm different now. I'm a different person. I've found out who I actually am. And he held my hand, looked into my eyes and says, Dad, I've got to tell you something about myself. He says, I am. And I thought, Harry, just get on with it. You're my son, I love you, whatever you are. He says, Dad, I'm a vegetarian. Shocking. Absolute shocking. Let that be a warning to you. In just a few...
Is that satire? Is he trying to...
No, he's being totally...
Genuinely...
Yeah, it does sound like an Alan Partridge sketch. But no, this is real.
So he's like warning people, your kids will go off to university and come back...
Indoctrinated into vegetarianism.
Meatless.
Yeah. Or God knows what else. Shocking.
Yeah. The build up to it as well. You're like, I thought he was going to say like he was a Labour supporter or something. Like, or he was going to like.
No, his son's a vegetarian now.
Oh, I mean that must have affected their family deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hang on, Christmas dinner's never going to be the same again. Your mother's going to have to make. Have you thought about your mother in the kitchen, son? A nut roast. Christ. Gives a fuck.
What a twat.
Oh dear, what else has he said?
Welcome to my new show, Lee Anderson's Real World.
Lee Anderson's Real World. Doesn't know what the real world is.
7 years ago today, I voted to leave the European Union, so who better to join me on my first show than
this
Nigel
fuckwit.
Farage.
Thank you, Lee. Pleased to be here.
Cheers.
But yeah, so their show is a bit like our show used to be. They sit and drink. This is GB News, but it's set in a pub, and it has a pint.
Yeah,
with other like-minded people.
Nigel, we have a token lefty in the corner. It's Simon Danchuk. After all these years.
And so there's this guy, Simon Danshaw, who's also on his show.
Yeah.
But he doesn't sit at the table with them. He sits in a corner at a different table. Because he's not allowed?
He's not allowed to sit with them.
Yeah.
Because he's left-leaning.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So why would any self-respecting person do this? Like, hey, come on my show and share your left-wing politics, but the whole gimmick is you have to sit in the corner.
Yeah, I'm gonna literally ridicule you.
Yeah, like a dunce. Here's a dunce hat for you to wear.
Simon, you've finally got your name up in chalk. That's a great accolade, that is. That's great stuff. I want to speak to real people, and they don't come much realer than Gary the cabbie.
Brendan, what's going on?
Gary the cabbie.
Everyone loves... Any Americans that are watching this might not realise, but British people, when you get into a taxi cab, we love nothing more than when the taxi driver starts trying to talk to us.
Ah, yeah.
It's, I mean, because they're the salt of the earth, and they're also highly intelligent, and they have
never going to get picked up in a taxi again at this rate.
they have years of wisdom. And they know it all.
I learned very early on when I started doing stand-up just to not tell them, like,
that you're a comedian.
I'd get picked up and they go, "Oh, like, where are you off to tonight?" And I go, "Oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. Like, I'm doing it." Oh, you must be different. You can't say anything these days. Like, and then they give me their best 5 top racist, misogynistic jokes. So you couldn't say that on stage, could you? It's like, I wouldn't say that out loud at any point. So yeah, they're a very opinionated group of people.
But to be fair, most taxi drivers I've had recently just don't speak to me.
Yeah, no, it's getting better.
It is, yeah.
Well, don't ask me, I'm a giraffe. And kids miss so much school with the pandemic. I mean, really, they want a bit of normality, and a lot of our kids don't know what normality is with schools. I think
Brendan, I'm going to have to stop you there. There are baked beans incoming. There's a spoon incoming.
What?
Lovely. Open your mouth.
Okay.
You're going to feed him beans?
What the fuck?
What is happening?
You've been to Glastonbury.
What was that? Why did you just feed him some beans? What's that got to do with anything?
So I have to stop you there making your point on this political matter, because I've got a can of baked beans I'd like to feed you.
Here comes the trade.
£24,000 to stay in a tent for the weekend. James O'Brien,
not true.
You are Wokey of the Week. Where is the profometer? It's somewhere over there on that table. The tape measure.
Is that a good... Adam, is that a good one?
He had one job. Welcome to my new show, Lee Anderson's Real...
Oh my god.
Wow, what a bellend.
Yeah, this Tory MP.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... Like, shouldn't you just be an MP? Like, that's your job, isn't it? They get paid 80 grand a year to do it.
Yeah.
Just do that. Work for your constituents, which you should be doing, and you are paid handsomely to do so. Like, no, I've also got to go this TV show.
Feed beans to people.
Yeah, it's like, this doesn't... I don't see how this benefits, like...
anyone at all.
Yeah. Especially if you're living in his constituency. Like, how does this benefit me, Lee? You're supposed to be working to to help us, the people, but you're off making a television show, which is fucking nonsense.
Yeah, there are not like, and I've always thought if to be a member of parliament, to be like a politician of any sort of, you've got to be slightly unhinged. Well, massively unhinged. It's an incredibly narcissistic sort of way to think. You know, what I'm going to do with my life is tell everybody else how they should live.
Yeah,
I want to be in charge of the country.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around. Like, you should be listening to your constituents.
Politicians are supposed to work for us.
Yeah, instead they're working for GB News.
Yeah, doesn't work. Like they're all in it for themselves. Like it's absurd.
There's not this massive use for food banks in this country. We've got generation after generation who cannot cook properly. They can't cook a meal from scratch. Do you think it's time that you left the Ivory Tower and got out there on Whitehall and sorted these people out? Because, you know, people of London, the tourists, the people that work at this place, and you know, the taxi drivers, the bus drivers, they're getting fed up of it, and you're just letting it happen. You've got the powers now to do this.
So there's current bill bouncing around Parliament which hasn't come in yet, so those powers aren't in existence yet.
It's not strictly true, is it? You can move these people on. They're obstructing the highway.
So we could have a
This is the commissioner of the police he's talking to, by the way.
Yeah.
long conversation about public order law.
Why are you not moving them on?
Well, because you're
I don't want a long conversation.
you're making selective comments based on a partial understanding of the law.
Now, I got into hot water about 5 or 6 years ago over some problems with the local travelling community who visited my village on several occasions. My residents were furious. There was damage, there was thieving, there was all sorts of nastiness going off. And I told the Labour group we've got to stop this from happening. They disagreed and they refused to put barriers up to stop the travellers returning. I took the law into my own hands and I blocked this local beauty spot off to stop the travellers returning. My community actually loved me for it, and the Labour group hated me.
One of the Momentum men.
I don't believe that.
No.
I don't believe that.
I don't reckon anybody loves him. No. I don't reckon his parents do.
Has got up in a room full of people and he tried to embarrass me, tried to belittle me, and he said to me, "Oi, Anderson, have you ever read the works of Karl Marx?" And I said, "Well, funnily enough,
never read a book.
I haven't, and I don't intend to." And then he said, well, why don't you off then and join the Tory party, Tory boy? So I stood up and I said, you know what, mate, that's not a bad idea.
Working class Labour voters.
And he did.
Yeah. Well,
Basically,
showed them.
Yeah, some left wing. He was supposed to be left wing. A left wing person kind of said, "You don't actually know what you're talking about, do you?
Yeah.
Maybe you should just join the fucking Tories." Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Got no faith in my own beliefs.
Ideas are, I think, you know, really, is that what's coming to Parliament? I think it just opens a whole new debate, mate. And I'm going to be honest now, controversial, as always. If he does get elected and I'm still here, I shan't be following him into the toilets.
Well, exactly right.
There's not...
Yeah, that's Eddie Izzard is running for a Brighton.
Oh, it's Eddie
seat.
Izzard?
Yeah.
Is he following other people into the toilets? Is that just not Eddie Izzard?
Yeah. Why do you ever really take note of who you follow into the toilet?
If he gets elected, he'll be the only person I don't follow into the toilets.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there as well. And there'll be plenty more because the guy's been given a fucking TV show.
Yeah, I don't think I can't watch GB News is a spectacle in itself. It's just so stupid. I can't watch it for longer than a few minutes without just being like either really irate or just finding it the funniest thing I've ever seen.